Good day, everyone, and we are in our second part of the lesson. We know that we left so many things yet to be addressed in our lesson today. Before we answer the question we parked in the first video, the team is thanking you for your constant support. Please like our YouTube channel. Now, let us make a recap first. So, we have tackled 1. The laws applicable to checks. 2. The purpose and function of negotiable instruments. 3. Requirements for negotiability. 4. Examples and types of negotiable instruments. 5. The parts and parties of a check. And 6. Issuance of a check. Regardless whether the check is on dates or post-dated, we must know until when should one present the check from the date as found on its face. Section 186 of the Negotiable Instruments Law says checks must be presented for payment within a reasonable time after the issuance. Otherwise, the drawer is discharged from liability. Since reasonable time is not certain, we have to consider Section 193 of the same law, which says that in determining reasonable time, regard is to be had to the nature of the instrument, the usage of trade or business with respect to such instruments, and the facts of the particular case. Still unclear, right? Given this predicament, there is a need to consider jurisprudence. In Pacheco v. Court of Appeals, docketed as GR number 126670, decided on December 2, 1999, the Supreme Court says, by current banking practice, a check becomes stale after more than 6 months. Exempted of this are managers, cashiers, and treasurers' checks under the Clearinghouse Operations Memorandum Number 96. This answer leads us to other related questions. 1. What are the types of checks when there are checks exempted of the application of the 6-month period before the check becomes stale? 2. What is the nature of a stale check? And 3. What is a clearinghouse? These questions will be addressed accordingly. 1. What are the types of checks? For your information and guidance, we have A. Bearer check, which are payable to whoever is the holder and the payee is not named. Example, if the check is payable to cash. B. Self-check is that check payable to the drawer himself. C. A traveler's check is used by travelers so that they do not need to bring in money while in transito, and like self-check, it is payable to the name of the drawer or issuer himself. D. Cross-check is one containing 2 parallel lines in which the payee's name is found and could not be presented for payment other than the person whose name is written within the parallel lines. E. Official or banker's check, like managers, cashiers, and treasurer's check. These are guaranteed by the bank. Being guaranteed, the check is funded for a period of 1 year usually. F. Certified check. Although no longer practiced by banks nowadays, but mentioned in the Negotiable Instruments Law, it is like the official or banker's checks, also guaranteed by the drawee bank. G. Electronic check. This is used mainly in the United States of America because they're going paperless checks now. It is like the check that is found in a computer in electronic format with the same legal implications. H. Money order is usually practiced in the postal service, and once the money order is received by the intended recipient or payee, he can have it exchanged for cash. I. Ante or post-dated checks are those checks used on a particular date, but the date as found in the check itself could be prior to or after the date of actual issuance as previously explained. J. Defective checks are those like that of a stale check or mutilated, which the bank may dishonor or ask for reconfirmation. And K. Giant checks are those checks that you see on TV carried by a person who just won a lottery, for example. We go now to the next question. What is a stale check? It is a check not presented before the drawee bank for payment within the supposed 6-month period from date of issuance or maturity. It is not considered as an invalid check, but an irregular check. Thus, if presented for payment, the bank can refuse drawing funds from the drawer's account or simply dishonor. In the alternative, banks could ask for reconfirmation of the check by the drawer or issuer, or the drawer or issuer is asked to issue another check as replacement of the stale check. In relation to what is a stale check, we must know the effects when a check becomes stale. These are as follows. 1. The negotiability of the instrument ceases. And 2. The payee could not assert rights out of the check. But you must remember that this does not automatically mean that the drawer or issuer is free from any liability out of any other source, like the original contract. We will use again the lease contract as an example. Let us say the lessor got sick and was not able to have the check presented for payment due to sickness. So, the 6-month period lapsed. The lessor cannot have the check deposited being stale, but the lessor can still demand payment of the rent from the lessee because the lease contract persisted and that the lessor must be paid for the use of the property. Again, only the negotiability of the check ceases and not the obligation and right of the parties respectively. So the next question to be addressed is, what is a clearinghouse? But before giving a definite answer to the question, what is a clearinghouse, we must know what is endorsement, because the functions of a clearinghouse is not important if the check is not presented for payment before the bank. Regardless of the date of issuance or maturity, but still taking into consideration the period within which the check must be presented for payment before the drawee bank, there are two possible situations after issuance. 1. The payee will directly go to the bank, or 2. The payee will transfer the check to someone else, not a party to the check itself. So, considering the first possibility, the payee can go to the drawee bank or another bank, not the drawee bank, but generally a bank which the payee has an account. You have to consider also that in the drawee bank, the payee may have his or her account. But what if the payee has no bank account? Based on banking practice, so long as the check is not cross-checked or on account of the payee's name, the payee can have the check cashed. Let us apply these possibilities in the check that was issued as shown in the video as our concrete example. Again, the drawee bank is BDO. The payee is Juan de la Cruz and I am the drawer of the check, being that my signature is found on the check itself. So, Juan de la Cruz, 1. could go to BDO, which he may or may not have an account, or 2. Juan de la Cruz could go to any other bank aside from BDO, of which he may have or does not have a bank account. You just have to remember that generally, the check could be cashed right away or deposited in the account of the payee, if any, in any bank, even aside from the drawee bank. Now, let us consider what happens in the first scenario and on the assumption that Juan has an account either in BDO or other banks not BDO. When Juan de la Cruz goes to the bank, if he goes to BDO and he has an account, he has two options, either have the check cashed or deposited in his account. In any other bank aside from BDO, if he has an account there, he can have it deposited or cashed. In either situation, there can be transfer of funds from the drawer's account to the payee's account if the check is funded. On the other hand, if Juan de la Cruz goes to BPI as an example, the bank of which he has an account, the check must be cleared first. Simply means it must be verified first whether the check is funded or not. BPI cannot directly check on the sufficiency of the funds on the bank account as written in the check because the account of the drawer is not with BPI but with BDO. So cashing the check right away is not possible. It can only be deposited. This is where the function of a clearinghouse is material. As to the second possibility, the payee will transfer the check to a third person. This third person, now the endorsee in relation to the payee, the then endorser, will go to a bank. And this situation will follow what we just tackled about if the payee goes to the bank himself. For clarity, the third person, the endorsee in relation to the payee endorser, will either go to the drawee bank, of which he has a bank account or not, or go to a bank of which he has or does not have an account other than the drawee bank. Again, that bank which is not BDO but third person or endorsee has or does not have an account will have the check cleared first before release and transfer of funds are done. So what is a clearinghouse? It is a financial institution tasked to facilitate the exchange, clearing, and effectivity of negotiable instruments. That is why banks used to have clearing cut off, usually before lunchtime, because checks presented for payment or endorsed to them, of which they are not the drawee bank, must be verified whether funded or not. In the past, there used to be cut off for presentment for payment of checks before the bank. At present, there is none, and cut-off time is generally considered as the time when the bank closes, and that the bank messenger need not to deliver the physical checks, as how bankers call it, to the clearinghouse, but the physical checks will be scanned and sent to the clearinghouse. This is also the reason why those checks issued in the past would be given back to the issuer. Now, it is the bank that keeps the physical check. Now we go back again to our example. BDO being the drawee bank and the payee or third person goes to BPI. Let us say during the day, BDO has 3 BPI checks presented for payment in the total amount of 3 million pesos. On the other hand, BPI on the same day received 5 BDO checks worth 5 million pesos, including the one presented by Juan de la Cruz. Let us say that all checks are good and funded. So what happens in the clearinghouse is that instead of having actual cash transfer, it is done electronically. So in the example, both BDO and BPI have to transfer funds to each other, covering their checks issued and presented for payment on such day. So, in the next business day, in Juan de la Cruz BPI account, the amount of 100,000 will be transferred to his account and ready for use. In the Philippines, we have the Philippine Clearinghouse Corporation or the PCHC, which is co-equally owned by all commercial banks enlisted as members of the Bankers Association of the Philippines or BAP. It provides check clearing services covering 69 geographical regions, processing a daily average of 704,000 clearing items from more than 9,000 participating branches nationwide. You can verify this information in the PCHC's website. The Negotiable Instruments Law mentions several types of endorsement, but we will only tackle first endorsement and second endorsement. In relation to the situation we are using, Juan de la Cruz is the payee. The first endorsement is the one done by the payee directly to the bank. In the example, if Juan de la Cruz goes to the bank. Second endorsement is with the participation or involvement of the third party originally involved in the issuance of the check. Second endorsement is discouraged. Although the Negotiable Instruments Law allows multiple endorsements, let us say, for example, that Juan de la Cruz could not wait for the maturity date of the check or in dire need of money now but could not go to the bank. As a security, he could present the check to a third person who can give him a loan. Most people will accept the check at a lesser value. This is where the third person makes profit out of the transaction. This is known as rediscounting. So, in our example, the check's value is 100,000 pesos, and let us name the third person as Pedro, the friend of Juan. We'll say, since I am giving you money now, I have to wait for the check to mature or I go directly to the bank for you. I will just pay 95,000 pesos. So, when Pedro goes to BDO, the drawee bank or another bank, he will be given the amount as written in the face of the check. Second endorsement is discouraged to avoid banks becoming instruments of money laundering and other illegal activity. In Circular Letter Series of 2002, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas stated the requirements banks should have for second endorsements. 1. It should be from properly identified clients. And 2. Only after establishing the nature of the business of the said clients justifies or at least makes practical the deposit of second endorsement checks. This is usually practiced in far-flung areas where banks are not near or so few. In the next video, we will tackle the criminal law and remedial law aspect of checks. Thank you for now. See you in the next video.